The country is reeling under the third wave of the pandemic with ever-increasing number of daily COVID-19 cases. During the first wave, logistic management was the primary concern. An acute shortage of oxygen supply was witnessed during the second wave, while the third wave could see human resource management crisis as increasingly more health workers have started to get infected. The scenario has been such that Kathmandu-based hospitals have summoned the infected health workers to resume their duties after a week-long isolation. Good morning, I'm Abhyuday Shrestha, and these are the headlines of the hour. Another 10,000 plus COVID-19 cases registered in the country. Hospitals directed to implement revised rates of PCR tests. OddEven system from this midnight. National politics rippled by CPN Maoist Center Chairperson Pushpakamal Dahal's proposal of holding early elections. Ruling partners Nepali Congress divided over Dahal's election proposal. At least 29 people killed in a stampede at a religious event in the suburbs of Liberia's capital Monrovia. A 3-day period of national mourning declared. And Liverpool defeat Arsenal 2-0 in aggregate to reach the final of the League Cup for the first time in 6 years. An alarming resurgence of coronavirus is being reported across the country, with 10,052 new cases confirmed yesterday through RT-PCR tests, while 2,286 tested positive through antigen tests. According to the Ministry of Health and Population, the death toll has climbed to 11,632, with 4 more fatalities yesterday. A total of 649 individuals were discharged after recovery, while the active coronavirus cases have now rocketed to 57,328. 186 patients are currently undergoing treatment at intensive care units, while 27 are on ventilator support. Meanwhile, the Health Emergency and Disaster Management Unit and the Health Emergency Operations Center under the Ministry of Health and Population have directed all hospitals and laboratories performing the RT-PCR tests to implement the revised rates for the RT-PCR tests. The government has tightened restrictions given the steep rise in COVID cases. Service seekers will need to show their vaccine cards at public offices, while OddEven vehicle system has been implemented within the Kathmandu Valley. A meeting of the Chief District Administration Officers of Kathmandu, Bhaktapur and Lalitpur held yesterday decided to implement the OddEven system for private and public vehicles from this midnight. The exception to the OddEven system are vehicles carrying medicines, health materials, ambulances, firefighters, and vehicles used to transport cooking gas, petroleum products, poultry products, and vegetables, among other daily essentials. The district administration has directed all vehicle operators to sanitize the vehicle prior to use. The public have been directed to mandatorily use face masks while on public vehicles. Public vehicles have been prohibited from exceeding its seat capacity. Long-distance vehicles are barred from taking in passengers along the way and provide antigen tests if possible. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked people in several provinces what should be the priority of the government as coronavirus cases continue to spread in an alarming rate. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
परीक्षणको दायरा फराकिलो बनाउनु पर्यो
विदेशबाट आउने मान्छेहरुलाई रोक लगाउनु पर्यो
मास्कको अभियान चाहिँ सरकारले लागू गरिदिएर
खोप सम्बन्धी चाहिँ गाउँ-गाउँमा जागरण गर्नु पर्यो
Amid the rising threat of COVID-19 and people catching cold with the changing weather, the country has witnessed a sudden scarcity of paracetamol, which is one of the most common and most widely used medicines to treat mild fever and headache. Health authorities have blamed the public for needlessly stocking the medicine, while manufacturers and suppliers have been blaming the Department of Drug Administration for lack of monitoring in the case. More in this report.
The country for the past few days has been witnessing a short supply of paracetamol. The government monitoring body, Department of Drug Administration, claims that the shortage is due to unnecessary stocking of medicine done by public following the rise in COVID-19 infection rate in the country. The department has also urged the 25 domestic medicine manufacturing companies to produce medicines as per the demand and maintain a sound supply chain in the market.
Manufacturers are manufacturing. However, there is a high demand, suddenly high demand. And because of limited supply, which was actually solving the problem, but when there was a high demand increase, suddenly, that might have created this havoc. We also requested them to start manufacturing more quantity and then supply to the market. That we have requested yesterday only, directed to some of the manufacturers. And we also monitor the stocks level of many manufacturers.
This, incidentally, is not the first time that the scarcity of cetamol has surfaced in the country. Almost a year ago, the country faced a similar shortage when the country was reeling under the Delta variant during the second wave of COVID-19. At the time, the issue of high production cost had surfaced, resulting in the low production of the medicine. Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association, meanwhile, has claimed that they have produced the needed quantity as per the demand.
It's a kind of the huge demand that the public is trying to make it a store for the unrelevant use, and that could be the most relevant issue and the most relevant causes for the hike of the demand of the paracetamol. The only reason that the demand has been enhanced is that due to the spike of the COVID cases, where the use of paracetamol is very less.
Despite claims of regular production of paracetamol, a commonly used medicine for slight fever, headaches and other pains, there is no denying that the Nepali market presently is reeling under its shortfall. The government has set the price of paracetamol at 10 rupees per vial, which is the maximum retail price. The issue of price adjustment raised by manufacturers has exceeded 8 years now. However, the topic surfaces every time the demand for the medicine gets hyped. Manufacturers and distributors claim of manufacturing and distributing the medicine, citing it a social responsibility regardless of loss. The seesaw continues between manufacturers and the government body as the public remains largely at the receiving end. With Rupa Koirala in camera, Bipashna Tamang for Kantipur News Desk.
The Election Commission has scrapped the registration of 3 political parties. This includes parties named Nepal Yuva Kisan Party, 33 Daliya Morcha and Nepal Shanti Kshetra Parishad. The Commission issued a notice informing of the decision, citing the 3 parties had failed to submit their audit reports. The Election Commission fines parties that failed to submit audit reports with 20,000 rupees. The Commission had directed all parties to submit their respective audit reports by 4th of August. The 3 parties that were registered in the Nepalese year 2073-74 that have been scrapped had failed to submit both the report and the fine of 20,000 rupees. And it's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. And here's the question. What's your take on the scarcity of paracetamol amid a surge in coronavirus? Your options are A, trying to hike price, B, influence of middlemen, and C, due to lack of monitoring. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Applying brakes on local level elections by resolving legal complications, the ruling coalition has instead proposed holding the elections of the House of Representatives by mid-May. A few leaders have called for holding the parliamentary elections first to avoid national political crisis. In the given scenario, contrasting opinions have emerged within the ruling coalition partner, Nepali Congress. This also led to the postponement of the meeting of the high-level political coordination committee of the ruling coalition, previously scheduled for yesterday. Despite the recommendation of the Election Commission for holding local-level elections within mid-May, CPN Maoist chairperson Pushpa Kamal Dahal has proposed the ruling coalition for holding the parliamentary elections first. However, several questions have surfaced regarding the proposal of CPN Maoist Center chairperson Dahal, as the term of the Parliament expires only 10 months from now. Polarization has appeared within Nepali Congress regarding the proposal, with the leadership faction in favor of the early parliamentary polls. With main opposition CPN-UML continuing with its protests at the Parliament, it remains to be seen if it would put an end to obstructions at the Parliament or proceed with the election. The government has been reiterating its plans of creating entrepreneurial opportunities for youths returning from foreign employment. Despite allocation of funds for this objective in annual policies, programs, and the budget, the government is yet to ensure its effective implementation. In the past 3 years, only 954 individuals have received soft loans as seed fund for their startups. Prior to the coronavirus pandemic, around 1,800 young Nepali nationals used to leave the country in search of job opportunities. Remittance from migrant workers is mostly spent on consumption and is barely spent on productive sectors. With the young workforce leaving the country, the dependence of an agricultural nation like Nepal on food grains is growing all the time. Considering the alarming deficit in agricultural produces, the government had introduced a soft loan program for returning migrant workers with the objective of increasing human resources in productive sectors. However, only 954 individuals have so far received funds under the program. The government departments are still applauding the figure as a big achievement. The returning migrant workers are eligible for a loan of up to 1 million rupees without presenting any collateral. However, despite the insurance and government contribution in the premium for ventures started with the soft loans, program has failed to achieve desired success due to a lack of collaboration from banks. Likewise, the government has also failed in ensuring market for the products of such firms, which has led to the returning migrant workers considering employment opportunities abroad. And that's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.